For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe. Our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Coming up at 1 o'clock this afternoon on NewsSpin, we have a special guest in the leader of the opposition and MP for Micoud South, Mr. Alan Chastanet. We asked the question, what are the qualifications of a St. Lucian politician? Now, somehow he came across some music that would certainly provide you with a response. And from the perspective of Trinidad and Tobago, but it does apply to our politicians over in St. Lucia. A note is coming from the Ministry of Infrastructure and a whole lot more, including a suggestion that APA can be a kingmaker. Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of NewsSpin right here on Power 97.9 FM. We are also on YouTube and the NewsSpin Facebook page. My name is Timothy Poleon. In a moment, of course, your calls at 452-2979. That's 452-2979, along with your WhatsApp calls and messages at 716-2026, and that is 716-2026. So it was yesterday we heard from former Agriculture Minister, former MP for VA4 South, Mr. Peter Josie, when he was saying, in effect, that based on the performance of our politicians in St. Lucia over the years, the qualification of a politician need not be one who has masters, a degree, a doctorate. As a matter of fact, for him, they have failed the people of this country. And he cited the period when Sir John Compton was Prime Minister of St. Lucia and the caliber of individuals who formed his cabinet in terms of their diligence, in terms of their commitment, in terms of their determination to provide quality representation to the people, as opposed to individuals whose prominence was highlighted in their academic qualifications. Let's listen to what he said just yesterday on the broadcast. We'll have a little wait, a few minutes. So please bear with me. We'll hear from Mr. Peter Josie in just a moment. I don't think it's a case where people are saying you shouldn't be somebody who has excelled academically, or you ought not to have academic qualifications to be seen as a prime candidate for someone who can serve in the cabinet of St. Lucia, or serve the government, serve the people of this country at the highest level. What is being suggested, at least that's my interpretation, is that based on what we have to show in terms of the performance of the St. Lucian economy over several years now, in terms of how we have handled the crime problem and health care and even education, those people who come well qualified academically, somehow the performance is not commensurate with their degrees and their doctorates and so on. I think it has it's a situation of having the right attitude. You ought to be qualified in one area or another. But with that must come the determination, the discipline, the desire to want to serve the people of this country. Otherwise, you're just warming a seat in the island's parliament or in the cabinet of ministers. And that is what the ordinary folks want from you. The folks in Dennery and the folks in Micoud and the folks in V4 and Soufrière and the folks over in Marcia, the folks over in Babonneau and Grosley. It's not about qualifications. They want people who can perform, people who can make a difference in their lives. That is what will matter in the end. People who can help them move from one point to the other, put food on the table. So, not that I think people are saying we don't need people who are qualified to be in government, but what do we have to show for that? What do we have to show? We're at what? 66 homicides so far for this year. High unemployment. Borrowing. Whether it's the United Workers' Party that's in office or the St. Lucia Labour Party, there has been a lot of borrowing over the last few decades. There's not been a difference. Don't let anybody fool you. Just follow the sittings of the House of Assembly. And you have on the other paper the Prime Minister, whether it's the Prime Minister of Philip J. Pierre, Prime Minister Stevenson King, Prime Minister Alan Chastanet, Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony is borrowing in U.S. Staggering sums, 75 million United States dollars and 80 million US dollars, 50 million US dollars. And what do we have to show for that? What do we have to show? At least cumulatively a debt of about $5 billion. And it is easy for those men to borrow because they do not have to pay back. It's not coming from their pockets. It is coming from the taxpayers of this country. And long after they have retired from politics, or if they have been booted out of politics, if they have lost their seat, no longer minister of this and minister of that, the taxpayers are the ones who have to finance that debt. And when they're in opposition, they complain about borrowing. Get into government, they realize they don't have a choice. Okay? They don't have a choice because our politicians, unfortunately, they have not seen the necessity to come up with the unnecessary prescription, a solution to this borrowing problem. How can we ensure that we do less borrowing? And let's compare this to a household. If you realize that you're doing a lot of borrowing money from courts, you're borrowing from this financial institution and that financial institution, and you find yourself always, being a deficit every time you get your salary, the large chunk of it, maybe 80% of it, 60% of it, because that's what, the debt to GDP ratio, that's what we're going through in St. Lucia ever so often. When sometimes it's at 60 or 65 or 70%. And in a household, you consider, whether you have to make certain adjustments. In the case of our government, it appears that they never see the need to make any adjustments because it is so easy for them to borrow. So anytime from now, we'll be hearing from Mr. Peter Josie with regard to, whether you have a PhD or a degree, you enter the political arena in St. Lucia, you're successful, whether it matters. Let's hear from Mr. Peter Josie.
I'm putting it to you and the people who listen to you on that program, the people who are listening to me now, I'm putting it to the people of St. Lucia that you do not need all this highfalutin PhD and masters and all of that to be able to do things for the people in your constituency. We have in the past depended too much on qualifications, on people with PhD, thinking that this would be the best person to serve the needs of constituencies. That is proven not to be true. And I think it is clear, and if we repeat it sufficiently and show people, they will see. And I take you back to Sir John Compton himself, 40 years ago. 40 years ago. Remember Sir John. Try to visualize the people he had around him as ministers. How many of them had university degrees? Okay?
And you just heard from Mr. Peter Josie, veteran politician, former MP for V4 South, and he's saying you need not be someone who's qualified academically to serve the people of this country as a parliamentary representative or as a government minister. And so our NewsSpin question of the day, what are the qualifications of a St. Lucian politician? Somebody say they have to know how to drink rum and talk shit. Another person just smiles, and another person says propaganda. But let's listen to Chalk Dust. Qualifications of a St. Lucian politician.
You must watch the crime rate escalating, and yet talk about race and vote catching. You must see two people on one hospital bed, then pass through the ward and just nod your head. You must talk the Queen's English in Parliament and curse obscene as you reach the pavement. You must thief and jail a man if he touch a leaf. Oh son, that's the qualification of a politician. You must watch the crime rate escalating, and yet talk about race and vote catching. You must see two people on one hospital bed, then pass through the ward and just nod your head. You must talk the Queen's English in Parliament and curse obscene as you reach the pavement. You must thief and jail a man if he touch a leaf. Oh son, that's the qualification of a politician.
So the one I like the most is you must watch the crime rate escalating and yet talk about race and vote catching. Let's take your calls right now at 452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026, and that is 716-2026. I think we have our first call line via WhatsApp. Good afternoon, this is NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon, Tim. How are you?
I'm okay, sir. Good afternoon to
It's
you.
your it's a friendly neighborhood atheist, Tim.
From Canada.
So, yes, sir. I would first like to agree and disagree with Mr. Josie to a certain extent because I think if you're gonna be a politician like I would say a Cecil Day, someone who never holds a portfolio in any ministry, I don't think your level of education should matter. But if you're gonna be Minister of Finance, I think you need a certain level of education, but I don't think it has to be necessarily a formal education in the modern day and age that we live. So I would like to agree and disagree with Mr. Josie for that matter. But Tim, the reason why I really called you today was to spread a little message to the people of our country, not regarding politics or anything for that matter, but in terms of like healthcare thing. I realize what's going on with a lot of young people in the world today, where they kind of like go on the internet and they find miracle cures to diseases, like, oh, if you have kidney disease, you need to drink this and drink that. I would like to advise like my young people to stop self-diagnosing because different diseases may share different like nausea and vomiting is common in like different diseases. So if something is wrong with you and you think something is wrong, please seek medical help and stop believing in miracle cures and stuff you see on the internet and so on and so forth. Tim. That's my
But
contribution today because I see a lot of our young people.
considering our culture and our mentality, you expect this to change anytime soon, Colin?
No, I don't expect it to change soon. You know, when things like that are normally like it's incremental. It's something you have to drum into people over and over and over and over and hope that their attitudes change. But I hope the attitude changes, Tim, because I see a lot of young people just dying like in our country, like for no particular reason. Like they go to the hospital and probably they have been sick for years and they don't know because they're neglecting their health and believing in miracle cures and other crap like that, right?
Okay, Colin. Thank you so much. What is happening in the chat room? And good afternoon to you, Kimani.
Good afternoon, Tim. Someone says, education is not common sense. Caller. Another comment, it's all about the salary, not the service they give to the country and having a doctor in front of their names. Tim Appa is street smart, equal justice for one and all. How that is his qualification to run independent in a few fort. Another comment, someone says, how old is this song? This song proves that there's nothing new under the sun. Let's see, people, have y'all seen the size of the telephone dictionary that show things? Someone says, let's see. What other comments we have in the chat room? Something will happen and they will not be able to borrow soon. And finally, St. Lucia is a mythical place. I have never seen such a population of people who make life decisions based on the amount of propaganda one party can spread. They do not even take their time to read manifestos or study what a person's political platform is based on. It's always based on sensationalism and who has the most disgusting thing to say about the other. And let's see what else we have in the chat room. Tim, since the SLP administration has borrowed almost $5 billion, can you tell me how much?
No, not almost 5 billion. Overall, all the governments in St. Lucia, in total, they have borrowed sufficiently to amass a debt of about $5 billion.
Okay. Let's see. This caller left no room for medical malpractice. But that's it in the chat room.
All right, thank you so much. Somebody, I am assuming it's from the south, says they're not receiving our signal on 97.9 FM. So we hope our engineers are working on this, but I'm sure that you're listening to the broadcast via our NewsSpin Facebook page as well as on YouTube. 452-2979. We have a call via 452-2979, and we await your WhatsApp calls as well. Good afternoon, you're on the air.
Tim,
Good afternoon, Derek.
believe it or not, I'm out of my house. Can you believe that?
You're on the road.
Out in the wilderness. Eh?
The octogenarian is out there
Out
on
in
the
the
road.
house.
and not in a hospice.
I'm looking at how much I've missed in this glorious city of ours.
You're on a
Lord,
sightseeing tour.
I'm on a sightseeing tour. But I wanted to say, Tim, hallelujah. Hallelujah. That somebody is actually worked up the nerve to sound. Maybe he doesn't have total faith in Guinea-Bissau, the panacea, the cure-all that solutions have been made to believe. Guinea-Bissau takes precedence over everything. And our Ministry of Health is what should be undertaking a special campaign on that, because a lot of people are dying from self-diagnosing, from taking Chebois medicine. This is a serious problem here. People cannot. There was a report, the Jufali report, and there's a good side to Jufali, that everybody has kept quiet, that got screwed by politicians. There is a good side to Jufali, okay? And they did the analysis over here and found that a number of people were not taking their prescribed medicines because there were little side effects and so on, and their friends were telling them Guinea-Bissau, and a lot of them couldn't read. There are a lot of problems attached, which indicated a total disconnect with our Ministry of Health, with people, with the kind of people, with the status of our people. In other words, we have a lot of illiterate people. We have a lot of old people. We have a lot of people without help, and left to themselves. Once they leave the doctors, they just get those pills and they take it or don't take it, or they go and take the Guinea-Bissau instead, or Cosol, was it? Cosol, all this kind of stuff. So that man from Canada, he called.
Yes, from Canada. St. Lucian living in Canada.
Get those kind of calls from people residents.
We don't.
I saw a guy going up and down my gate one time, and after a while I went up to him and asked him, "Can I help you?" Can I help you? So I asked him, what is it he wanted? So I don't want anything, Rick. I just saw in your yard you have a lot of shrubbery, and I was wondering if you were growing Guinea-Bissau. So it was great to hear that. Now, the other one, Tim, I didn't think there was clarity in what was being said yesterday about the PhD and all that kind of stuff. And I think that should be clarified as well. Tim, a PhDs are not equal, especially nowadays. You can get a PhD in crab catching, Tim. You can get honorary PhDs and you're not supposed to be calling yourself doctor.
Yeah.
That the protocol insists you don't go around calling yourself Dr. Joe and Dr. whatever. Check out the protocol for honorary degrees.
I read an article about this. I read an article about this about a year or two ago on NewsSpin.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
So all that is foolishness against fooling people who don't know better. Elevating yourself to status you didn't really earn. And then and understand you can get PhD in a number of subjects. So take, for example, let us say, I'm even reluctant to even imagine that. Let us say I was the Prime Minister of St. Lucia. I sure as hell have no PhD, nothing. And I sure as hell don't know crap about finance. But even if I thought I had a PhD in something to do with finance, as my son has from Cambridge, he's not at any Morocco embassy. I think he spent 3 months there and went to school. So just a pass on information.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Even I had that, Tim, I would hire finance people in whom I had faith in the country, and let them explain things to me like they would explain to a dummy in the boulevard. I would want him to predict things to me. I would want to tell him something from me. He would be my advisor in finance. Because having a degree remotely in any, what do you call it, what they usually have, accountant or accountant, all these guys.
Economists.
But they make a deal, they attach something to those degrees and those certificates that fake. They give it an importance that it does not have. Okay? The economist, that's a soft science, Tim. That's it. Being an economist. Look, Greenspan caused a major problem in the States with that crash recession some time ago over the housing thing. Remember that?
Yes, 2008, I think.
And Greenspan was to the economy, but God is to Christians, And he simply said, I made a mistake. Economists are forecasters, are weather forecasters. Only in their thing, they forecast the weather of finance. They can't make money. They can't tell you how to make money. They have no special intelligence over an ordinary intelligent guy. So what we need in those ministries are people qualified to advise ministers. And ministers should not be, education is very important, extremely important. Don't get me wrong. I want to make that clear. Whatever education you can get, and the greatest education you can get it. Mm-hmm. Education is important. It's your heartbeat. But don't use education like some kind of whip for people who don't have it, or to pretend you are wiser than you are and have more skills than you are. That's why we are in the kind of trouble we are. A guy has a degree in this philosophy, a guy has a degree in social whatever it is, and people think he can take care of everything. So I'm happy to explain that, both in terms of the Guinabafe and the matter of PhDs.
Time is against us because I have a guest coming up. But in the chat room, somebody's asking the question there. Rick, what's the name of the section of the media? And I think they're making reference to certain individuals on social media, on Facebook. But don't repeat it. Are you there, Rick?
Oh, I'm there.
Yeah.
It's amazing how how people have latched onto that. That's not what I meant to happen, I meant people to understand, look what's happening to us.
But remember, you are not referring to mainstream media.
No, we don't have mainstream. We have fake mainstream media.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can't, even I have to stop now, but I will pick this up at another time, Jim.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rick.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. And Rick is itinerant, is driving somewhere around St. Lucia right now. Kimani, what's happening in the chat room?
Someone says, Rick, can you even get a PhD in the media that he referenced yesterday? Another comment, Tim, what's up with you and that overall? You're not a mechanic. Separate the figures of the two parties. Another comment in the chat room. Someone says, let's see, thank you, Rick, for endorsing my message. And let's see. Someone says, I'm going to Haiti to get my PhD. But that's it.
Thank you so much. And Kimani will be taking a break from the broadcast because when we come back in just a moment, we'll be hearing from the leader of the parliamentary opposition, and that is Mr. Alan Chastanet. Before we go into that break, let us hear from the communications officer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Mr. Miguel Fevrier, the Shock Bridge to be closed over the weekend.
The Department of Infrastructure, Ports and Transport wishes to remind the public that the Shock Bridge will be temporarily closed from 7 p.m. Friday, October 13th to 6 a.m. Monday, October 16th, 2023. This closure will facilitate maintenance works on the bridge should the weather permit. The maintenance crews will be working throughout the weekend, nighttime included, into Monday morning to ensure that the work is completed before the week commences. Motorists are urged to utilize alternative routes and bypass roads to avoid delay. The Department of Infrastructure, Ports and Transport apologizes for any inconvenience caused due to the closure of the Shock Bridge.
Communications Officer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Mr. Miguel Fevrier. When we come back, we'll be hearing and seeing the island's leader of the parliamentary opposition, former Prime Minister and MP for Micoud South, Mr. Alan Chastanet. Stay with us. NewsSpin is on Power 97.9 FM. We are also on YouTube and the NewsSpin Facebook page.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
There is only one option when they arrive. Our services will make the dead look alive. With Bouteille and Beaufort accessibility. Remember, we have the only private cemetery. No one can match our prices from coffins to corsage. Personalized service you get when Lazarus take charge. Quality service, no package to make your wallet bleed. Lazarus is your true friend in your time of need.
Lucilec aveti ou pour point précaution durant saison cyclone Salah. Mi an ti commission qui kaywen de ou protéger la vie ou ek propriétaire ou. Kouye Lucilec avant ou trim et ben couper pied bois qui poué ligne électrique. Veillez pour ligne courant électrique avant ou monter l'échelle. Fait assurer l'échelle, scaffold et bout zouti ou ka servi pas vini moins qui 10 pieds hors ligne courant électrique. Pas jamais servi appliance et ben outils qui ka servi courant électrique. Des wall côté qui mouillé et ben en la pli. Ça c'était en commission hors Lucilec.
And he's done it! He's done it! Oh my goodness, it's gone!
The party is back! Premier Sports Inc. presents the KMC SPL T20! Powered by the National Lotteries Authority. Will defending champions Choiseul Craft Masters retain their crown? Or will they be pulled down?
Oh, strike for him! Perfection!
From October 13th to the 28th at the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds and Grosley Playing Field. Grab your tickets now. Sol Gas Station in Grosley, Amici Restaurant and Bar in Rodney Bay, Riverside Car Park in Castries, Soufre Foundation in Soufre, Monrepo, Choiseul, and Labrie Credit Union. Tickets are only $15 for adults, $5 for children. VIP $65 and $85. The party is back! The KMC SPL T20! Powered by the National Lotteries Authority. Show them how to party!
Fast Pay, a new and easy way to pay. Fast Pay, Fast Pay.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay.
Fast Pay, 2 minutes and you're on your way. Fast Pay, Fast Pay.
Flow is keeping you connected.
Night Meds is your dependable neighborhood pharmacy. You'll notice that upon entry, you are greeted by caring professional staff, attentive to your every need. Your prescriptions are always treated with a high degree of confidentiality, and we pride ourselves on providing speedy, efficient service. We carry a wide array commonly requested over-the-counter products, and our prices are very competitive. We offer blood pressure testing, blood sugar, and cholesterol testing. We're open to fill your prescriptions Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Come visit Sadhu's gas station on the Micoud Highway or call us at 572-6840 or WhatsApp 461-6840 for more information. NightMeds Pharmacy. We are your community med store.
Can't get a break from all this tax? Head to Automotive Art and get a taxcation. Automotive Art is offering you an ease from VAT and health and safety levy with savings of up to 15% and more. That's right, 15% of all tools, 15% of all accessories, 15% of car detailing, 15% of all rims, 15% of computerized wheel alignment, and 15% and more of selected tires with savings of up to 30% on some sizes. It's Automotive Art Taxcation. Visit us at Automotive Art at Vidbutai Castries and Latuni Vieux today and enjoy a taxcation. Offer valid for limited time. Some conditions apply. See stores for details.
Things are heating up at the National Farmers and General Workers Credit Union Limited. We've got some red-hot deals just for you with 100% financing. Rev up for some excitement with our incredible vehicle loan offer. Building or renovating, we've got you covered. Or pack up for that ideal getaway. This offer won't be available forever. Visit us today and take advantage of this limited time deal. Don't miss out on these fantastic deals with 100% financing. Only at the National Farmers and General Workers Credit Union Limited. We're your friend when you're in need.
The Ministry of Commerce, in collaboration with the Embassy of the Republic of China, Taiwan, presents the 16th Annual St. Lucia Taiwan Partnership Trade Show at the Pavilion on the ramp in Rodney Bay, Grosley, from Friday, November 3rd to Sunday, November 5th, 2023, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Come support the creativity of 69 local entrepreneurs and 16 Taiwanese businesses, including ICT and business solutions, food and beverage, and so much more. We will be hosting lots of fun games and activities for kids. Relax and enjoy the nightly live entertainment. Saturday features carefree karaoke with fantastic prizes up for grabs. Then on Sunday, we culminate in grand style with a strictly local fashion show and live comedy from Coke's Productions. Don't miss out. Free shuttle service provided from the Baywalk Shopping Mall and back. Come witness the emergence of our next generation of entrepreneurs.
It's coming. The brunch of the century. Welcome to Sunburnt. Sunday, November 26th. Sunburnt. It's coming.
Now we have in studio the leader of the parliamentary opposition, also MP for Micoud South, former Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Mr. Alan Chastanet. Welcome to the broadcast, sir.
Great to be here with you today again, Tim.
Okay. Why a march to protest the same issues which affected St. Lucians while you were Prime Minister of St. Lucia?
I don't agree that they were the same issues that were affecting us. I think that the Labour Party did a very good job of propaganda, of making people believe that we could have been doing better. But now in hindsight, everybody would have seen how well our policies were working. Fact is that we promised people to build a new St. Lucia, and that's what we were doing. Unemployment had dropped from a high of 33% to 25%. Youth unemployment had dropped from 44% to 31%. We'd had 3 consecutive years of economic growth, and there was a significant amount of new investment taking place. And $10 million a year was being spent on upgrading schools, which had not been done for years. New roads were coming in, infrastructure and sporting facilities. So there was a significant amount of work on the ground. When you compare that to the situation now, the complaints and the issues of a lethargic economy, we believe the unemployment rate is increasing in St. Lucia. Clearly, the cost of living is impacting St. Lucians. The idea that the government is continuing to charge high prices for fuel is ridiculous. The fact that the government has not reduced taxes, but instead now is increasing taxes, shows a lack of understanding and insensitivity to the more vulnerable persons in our society. The schools, the money is not being invested in the schools. Healthcare. I mean, okay, EU, we don't talk about it nearly as much as we ought to. It's a disaster that's taking place there. The lack of medication in the healthcare facilities. So the crime situation, when we had 70 murders, Tim, more than half of those murders, sadly, were domestic. You're talking about now we're at, almost 70 murders, and they are actual, people being shot in the street, being shot in their home. That's a very different situation today than existed before. So the purpose of the march is for St. Lucians to appreciate and to allow their voice to be heard. The Constitution of St. Lucia is a contract. It's a contract between the citizens of the country who are empowering government of St. Lucia. The government of St. Lucia is made up of the parliamentarians, cabinet, the judiciary, and the bureaucracy. And the citizens are vesting the authority in the government of St. Lucia to work in their interest, in the interest of the people. And the Bill of Rights in the Constitution is to protect individuals from the government of St. Lucia. The government is not supposed to use that awesome power it has in any way to deprive or oppress or suppress any individual St. Lucian. And the fact is, we're seeing that we have politicians in place today that are in breach of that code every single day. I question whether, in fact, some of the bureaucrats are either corrupt themselves or are living in fear of the politicians. Next week, with God's permission, and certainly I would like to have a discussion with you about what's taking place in the judiciary. But there's some things that are happening that all of us have to be very concerned about. But
such as?
Look, I don't really want to get into a lot of detail, but just suffice to say that my court case where the judge recused himself, and now we're finding out that judge has been transferred to Grenada. So,
a coincidence?
Well, I'm just lost for words. I am. Because if you have to look at this pragmatically, the government was concerned, and I know shocked at how the courts had reacted with them as it pertained to my situation in Parliament. The Attorney General wrote to the registrar complaining. The Attorney General, who was party to the case, wrote to the registrar complaining about how quickly the case was heard. Attempts were being made by the Justice Department, which is under the control of the Attorney General, to move the judge's clerk. The judge unprecedentedly made statements in the court about political interference and wrote and then recused himself. So when the court now moves him to Grenada, it's basically saying to me, and it should say to all St. Lucians, the judge didn't do anything wrong because they kept him as a judge. But the government has succeeded now in intimidating other judges. So any other judge that wants to now have rulings against the government, so the government now can just put pressure on them?
But every now and then judges are relocated.
Yeah, but this one recused himself from the case, right? Why him? Why him all of a sudden? So you see, in the absence of any voice of explanation and any reasoning, and to give people the comfort that there is no political interference. So I want to have a deeper discussion about that. But, this week is really about the march. And the purpose of the march is a report card. The government of St. Lucia has been in office for almost 2.5 years, half term, midterm. And inflation is hurting people. Crime is out of control. Clearly, we can see that the government had no plan and that the country is moving in the wrong direction. And that we have ministers threatening individual citizens. We have the authority, the strength of government being used against citizens in this country and oppressing them. We have a former prime minister who went to the House and lied to the people of St. Lucia and created some cockamamie story about how there was an account in Panama and there was commissions paid out of the account. The then Prime Minister had an opportunity in the House to have corrected him. He didn't. He then went on a radio show the following day. He had another opportunity to correct it. He was actually, in fact, asked to clarify the situation. He said no, he'd rather leave it to speculation. So now to find out that there was never a Panama account, that because it sounded like it was a Panama account, that I don't even know what was going on in his mind. But how can a person of that level lie so blatantly to the people of St. Lucia? And it's not the first time. He lied about Rochamel. He lied about Grindberg. So there's a pattern of behavior here that we continue to tolerate. And that pattern of behavior is now been adopted by the current Prime Minister, who is himself also lying to the people of St. Lucia. Now remember what I said, the Constitution is a contract between individual citizens and the government of St. Lucia. And we give them a 5-year term. But I am the firm belief that this Prime Minister today is more fearful of Richard Frederick than he is of the electorate. And he is going out of his way to appease Richard, who is not even supposedly not even a member of his own party. But he's acquiescing to him to this extent. And the people that elected him, the people that he should fear the most, he doesn't. So Saturday is an opportunity for the public of St. Lucia to give a midterm report to the government. And the more people that can show up and to allow their voices to be heard, that's our democratic right. It doesn't matter what member of what party you are. I know there are labor rights who are unhappy with the direction the government is going. We're not asking for the government to leave office. What we want to do is to say to the government of St. Lucia, we are not happy with the direction that this country is going, and we're sounding the alarm bells, and we're asking you to change your pattern of behavior.
But on what basis can we say that people are dissatisfied with the performance of the government? Now, I know that very often political parties conduct polls. So has the United Workers' Party conducted a poll to feel the pulse of the people so that it can determine empirically and otherwise whether the government is going in the right direction or the wrong direction?
Well, the most important platform in St. Lucia happens to be a radio station that is the most monitored radio station in St. Lucia or in the world. And when you listen to the comments on a daily basis, people are not happy. They're not. When you walk around St. Lucia, people are depressed. Who is going to be satisfied with the amount of murders and the answers the governments are giving? Who's satisfied with the proposed universal health care services that this government is pretending to offer? Who's satisfied with the programs that they've come out with for education? Who is satisfied with the road redevelopment, infrastructure redevelopment? Who cannot go and see at the Millennium Highway that there is a blatant wastage of taxpayers' money going on and that we've been taken for a pappy show? Who cannot see that? When I see what's going on at DSH, instead of now going and working with DSH to get the Kakabeth, the Creole horse race there, no, what you do instead, you cancel DSH's business licenses and prevent them from doing business in St. Lucia. And then when DSH, the same way that Grindberg and everybody else wanted to sue St. Lucia, over what? Non-fulfillment. There was an expectation on his part that when he made the investment, and you remember Richard said that he didn't use his own money. He said he used CIP money. 2.5 years have gone by. Has he provided any proof to that? Nothing. Because it was a lie. DSH used their own money. I'm telling you right now, matter of fact, if we were in government, we would have doubled the number of jobs in the South in the call center business. We would have already had a cruise ship berth begun. The airport would have been finished. The hospital would have been finished. New hotels would have been developed. Those are the opportunities that we've lost because we believe the lies. And so when you go around St. Lucia, you don't have to do any official poll. You can see it for yourself. People are dissatisfied. People are concerned. The number one issue in this country by far is the cost of living. And if you ask the people of St. Lucia, what percentage of the people of St. Lucia, if you ask the question, do you think the country is moving in the right direction? You're telling me that this year, that St. Vincent and the Grenadines is projected to have the fastest growing economy in the OECS. We left them with the fastest growing economy. I don't even believe they'll have any growth this year. It's the lies, Tim.
Now, with the cost of living, there's several external factors that would be that would be responsible for this.
Absolutely.
Take, for example, what is happening now between Palestine and Israel. That certainly can take a toll in terms of global growth, in terms of the cost of energy. How can any government serve as a buffer in terms of providing relief to the people in such circumstances?
I kept on saying that we are an export-led country. So let me break that down. The largest part of our economy depends on exports, whether it's bananas, tourism, financial services. So it means that we have to be competitive in those areas. So when you multiply the impact of the cost of living, CIF price, cost of insurance and freight, when you allow those prices to come in and then you multiply that by not reducing your duties, you're now importing inflation. And that imported inflation now will be reflected in the competitiveness of the products and services that you're providing. A government's balance sheet is very similar to your own balance sheet at your home, balancing your account. The difference is that governments can go for a longer period of time with a deficit. And there are times in which a government has to run a deficit. Because if you don't run that deficit and you're so protective of the balance sheet of the state, you will undermine what drives that balance sheet in the first place, which is the economy. And some of those businesses, Tim, will never recover. Never. So you must have an appreciation of how your economy works. Now, when you go out and you say to the people of St. Lucia, GDP growth is a bad thing, foreign direct investment is a bad thing, tourism is a bad thing, right? And then now you get into government and you want to turn around and depend on those same things, but you don't even understand them. Look what's going on in tourism. If some people want to be very honest, and remember, last October I said, we are in for a rough time. And how did I know that? Because the airlift was being cut. And the airlift happens 9 months ahead of time. And once you have a schedule, that schedule is not going to change. So we do not have enough airline seats to meet the demand for the hotels, for the Airbnb product, and for local St. Lucians and business people traveling in and out. So today, the flights are completely full coming into Viewfort, but we don't have enough flights. So you take a hotel like Coco Palm, right? 35% occupancy. Why? Because you can't get anybody to come in. Even if we were going to give the hotel room for $1, they can't buy an airline ticket. And there are a lot of other people in the same situation. You have to understand the business we're in, the export business we're in. These guys don't.
So therefore, why Jamaica is thriving?
Because Jamaica followed the pattern of St. Lucia. Jamaica didn't start off like St. Lucia after COVID. During COVID, we saw an opportunity where there was an excess amount of airplanes and not enough places to fly to. So we said, if we could open up our doors, if we can find a way to coexist with COVID, so we're not overly exposing our population, but take advantage of bringing some of those planes to St. Lucia. When COVID goes away, we can now build on that momentum. Jamaica didn't start that way. And when they saw what St. Lucia was doing, they quickly adapted. The Dominican Republic and Mexico, all did that. Aruba eventually copied what we were doing. Cayman eventually copied what we were doing. And they've built on that momentum. This new government came in and remember and said, we should not have opened the doors. We should have closed down tourism. The Prime Minister came out and said, he never really relies important to tourism. He even went as far as to say, and please remember, right? And Alan Chastanet is a madman. He's the only person who believes that tourism will come back. Those were his words, not my words. So left to them, they would do nothing. And when they came in, what did they do? They did nothing. We were not building the new airport and expanding the airport for United Workers' Party or for Alan Chastanet. We were doing it for the St. Lucians. That's what we were doing it for. And giving confidence to the investors into St. Lucia that St. Lucia was taking tourism seriously. Fix up the roads, provide water, create entertainment for our young people. When people come to Soufriere, Tim, and they walk, and the goal, remember, one of the goals was to take the old factory and make it into a shopping mall. Mm-hmm. That was technical, meaning people who produce leather, people who produce soaps, they would be doing it there and selling the products. And then the idea was to get the people who were just going from the dock to the volcano and back. Am I right? The idea was to make soufre a more integral part of product. So when they're going down to the still, the factory, and they see that world-class stadium, they go, wow, these people are doing well. When they see the graveyard and they see it properly manicured and being taken care of, they go, wow, these people are respectful, right? So you want to bring people to Grass Street? It can happen. That can become the artisan capital of St. Lucia. But you have to teach people how to keep the place clean, and they do a pretty good job, right? And improve the quality of services. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what is going to make it successful is the number of people that are going to go there. Now, if before they get to Folasho, they're going through the CDC and they're going through the rest of Castries that looks like a junkyard, people just walk out, they look at it, and they just turn around, they go back on the ship. I'll wait for the next port. We have to know that we are selling ourselves to the world and that we have to be at a world standard in everything that we're doing. We cannot suffer mediocrity. We cannot succeed in being mediocre. But when you have a government or a political party that preaches that mediocrity, and they never take a responsibility for nothing, it's always somebody else's fault. But yet they've been in government for equal amount of time as United Workers' Party, particularly in the last 30 years. But they don't have a plan. When we said they were beating pans and had no plans, we were right. And we can see it right before our very eyes. How you can tell me? The Prime Minister was the former Minister of Infrastructure. And the current Minister of Infrastructure was a former Prime Minister. Right? So between the two of them should be a lot of experience. How come they cannot explain what's taking place on the Millennium Highway? Do you have to be an engineer to go there and say that something is wrong?
Well, the public they have been complaining. Members of the public have been complaining about this.
But it's a waste of money. When a prime minister can come and tell you about the Grosley Road, the Rodney Bay Road, and say and continues to say that I did something wrong, but yet 2.5 years is going by, he can't show you that I did anything wrong, because there's nothing that we did wrong. It was a fixed contract for $15 million. You're going to have to pay the contractor in excess of $15 million for the work that he did, which is not even complete. So it means you're going to cost the government of the people of St. Lucia millions of dollars, and that is not including the fact that we've had to suffer the inconvenience of a disastrous road.
But where does that leave the people of St. Lucia, where if we have to give credence to what you just said there about people believing that the government is going in the wrong direction, that just 2.5 years after booting your administration out of office, for them to be in that state of mind, this is incredible. And it says something about both political parties, doesn't it?
I not willing to continuously accept some people's position to put both political parties in the same boat. And I think that if we're going to do that as individual citizens, we're going to do an injustice to ourselves. So, the discussion before I got here was about the qualities to be a prime minister or qualities to be a politician. Morality. You have to have a shared morality with the state, with the people. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be good. If the most people want to be crooks, then you can be a crook. I keep on saying that politicians in large part are reflections of society, of what you want. If you want mediocrity, then you can get a politician who's mediocre because you're telling them that that's what you want. If you want to be lied to, right, and you get reelected every time you lie to them, then maybe that's what people want to do. They want to be lied to, and they want to buy the excuse that there's things happening outside the world, and how come nobody's helping us and stuff like that, right? So you have to now measure each government and maybe even each politician separately as to their ability to deliver on what they said they were going to do. I mean, you take this young boy here at Stanislaus and understand his history as a school teacher, and he owned his own transportation company, both buses and speedboats. And this young guy has really impressed me. Now, do you think it's easy as a minister? Kenny has shown that it's not easy. Kenny's here complaining. Remember, he's a former prime minister, and he wants to say he's a backbencher now, right? He's not an ordinary backbencher, right? And he's now using that as the excuse as to why things have not happened in his constituency. So even when you're a minister, right, it's not guaranteed that anything's going to take place. So a successful district rep is the person who has the tenacity to meet with their other colleagues and understand what is happening and to make sure it's being delivered so that we don't give you excuses. That's one thing I don't like doing, is to give people excuses. If we were in government and you had the situation in Palestine and Israel, and if you had the situation with oil and you had the situation, those are things you have to learn how to deal with. You have no control over those things. How do you now adapt your strategies and your policies in order to make sure you can continue to deliver to the people of St. Lucia what you promised you were going to give them in the first place? That's why they're supposed to put you there. But if you're going to have a bunch of grown-ups in the room who are just going to, every time there's a situation, this is the problem and that's the problem, then guess what? Anybody can do that and not be held accountable. So when I look at Bradley, right? Bradley went there, and what caused him to go in politics in the first place? You can ask him. Was the state of the secondary school in Choiseul. And the previous government had given all kinds of excuses for 5 years why they couldn't get it done. He came in every day. He focused on making sure he could get that school done, and he did. The Saltibus Road, the same Saltibus Road that Kenny Anthony and Philip Peer, when he was the Minister of Infrastructure, said it would cost too much money to do. Bradley made it happen. And even when they were giving him a tough time, every day he stayed on top of it. Guy Joseph, he delivers. He gets it done. Isn't that what you want? Now, if you're going to make allegations of corruption, and that's fine, that's where we have to trust the system, that there are people who are supposed to hold public officers accountable. I don't believe that system is working well, and we need to make sure we can strengthen that, but that's where civil society is also supposed to participate. And so the march is so important, Tim, because we have to get back control of our country. You cannot believe for any moment that just having an election once every 5 years is going to allow your voice to be heard. I'm not asking to kick this government out tomorrow. That's not what the march is about. The march is basically to say, we don't have confidence in the direction that the country is going, and you all need to go back to the drawing board and deliver to the people of St. Lucia and stop making excuses. That's what it's about. Hold them accountable on Saturday. 2 hours. Because if we don't put this government in check, Tim, this government may reach very quickly to a place where it's ungovernable. Because our institutions are being fractured and destroyed. The economy is being destroyed. It's sad. And we will have only ourselves to hold accountable. Saturday gives us an opportunity to say to the government, you should fear us more than you fear anybody else. And that you made promises, and we are expecting that you're going to deliver on those promises regardless of what's happening in the world, because it's happening to everybody else. So why are other economies growing? Why did America add 350,000 jobs? Why are other countries in the Caribbean growing? Why is St. Vincent growing? Right? You're telling me that Dominica is starting an international airport from scratch and is further ahead than we are in trying to build a terminal? St. Vincent has built a new airport, come from scratch. Dominica has now started a new airport. Antigua built a new terminal. Barbados built a new terminal. Anguilla has just built a new terminal. And we can't get a terminal done. And we have some incompetent, foolish prime minister who wants to come and convince people he's never known that there'll be a second floor. What are you talking about? Who's not been to Eunora on a busy day to see the traffic jams? All you're doing is you're building a ramp so that people who are departing go upstairs and you go downstairs to pick up the people who are arriving. Big deal. Every airport in the world. Why would you not build an airport that is going to be able to grow with the future? No. How can you not know putting a cruise ship port is more important than expanding the port in Castries? Castries is congested. Can you imagine a ship that holds 8,000 people, Tim, in Port Castries? Really? For what?
So you're saying that you'd have looked at the port in Vivo?
But we were already there. And the GP deal was on the table for us. But we chose to bring the 3 cruise ship companies, the first island in the Caribbean that brought all 3 cruise ship companies to the table to develop. Why? Because they're the source market. How can you do the deal with GPH? $40 million of investment, of which it's Bananes and Soufriere is part of it. Yes? And you're going to give away $400 million of revenue? That makes sense to you? That's what I said to the GPH people. Y'all don't even have the decency to come and meet with the opposition. The government promised that they're going to make the contract public. They have not. So I'm saying, when we get into office, because I'm assured that we will get into office, we will audit that contract. And if in fact the details that we believe are in existence, we will revoke that contract because it will not be to the benefit of the people of St. Lucia. And if what we have been saying, that it's preventing us from having a port in Vieux Fort, we will also override that. And it's like with Renault and the Bananes land. I'm telling him again, first cabinet meeting after prayers, reacquire Bananes land. And we're paying him the same price that he paid. And that's a promise. Because what has taken place there is egregious. It's an insult to the intelligence of people of St. Lucia. And it's corrupt.
You're watching Newsmaker Live on our NewsSpin Facebook page. We are also on YouTube. And you are listening to the broadcast as well on Power 97.9 FM. It's not Newsmaker Live. It's NewsSpin. Please stay with us when we come back. Your calls, your WhatsApp messages, and of course we'll continue the discussion with the leader of the opposition, Mr. Alan Chastanet.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbouté at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, Vieux-Fort, 454-6555.
Introducing the new LuSelect Virtual Service Desk, where one click is your access to every service. From My Account to Streetlight reports, requests for payment arrangements to settle arrears, change of name and address. Easy online forms give you access from anywhere and at any time. Every service you need at your fingertips. Go to our website, luselect.com, and click on the Virtual Service Desk widget. LuSelect's Virtual Service Desk. Every solution at your fingertips.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay. Flow is keeping you connected.
And he's done it! He's done it! And my goodness, it's gone.
The party is back! Premier Sports Inc. presents the KMC SPL T20. Powered by the National Lotteries Authority. Will defending champions Choiseul Craft Masters retain their crown? Or will they be pulled down?
Oh, it's that point! Perfection.
From October 13 13th to the 28th at the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds and Groseley Playing Field. Grab your tickets now. Saul Gas Station in Groseley, Amici Restaurant and Bar in Rodney Bay, Riverside Car Park in Castries, Soufre Foundation in Soufre, Monrepo, Chevelle, and Labrie Credit Union. Tickets are only $15 for adults, $5 for children. VIP $65 and $85. The party is back! The KFC SPL T20, powered by the National Lotteries Authority. Show them how to party.
Can't get a break from all this tax? Head to Automotive Art and get a taxcation. Automotive Art is offering you an ease from VAT and health and safety levy with savings of up to 15% and more. That's right, 15% of all tools, 15% of all accessories, 15% of car detailing, 15% of all rims, 15% of computerized wheel alignment, and 15% and more of selected tires with savings of up to 30% on some sizes. It's Automotive Art Taxcation. Visit us at Automotive Art at Vidboutai Castries and Latunivier for today and enjoy a taxcation. Offer valid for limited time. Some conditions apply. See stores for details.
Things are heating up at the National Farmers and General Workers Credit Union Limited. We've got some red-hot deals just for you with 100% financing. Rev up for some excitement with our incredible vehicle loan offer. Building or renovating, we've got you covered. Or pack up for that ideal getaway. This offer won't be available forever. Visit us today and take advantage of this limited time deal. Don't miss out on these fantastic deals with 100% financing. Only at the National Farmers and General Workers Credit Union Limited. We're your friend when you're in need.
St. Lucia! Get set for one big night as we celebrate Midnight Groover's 50th anniversary. It's happening on Saturday, October 14th at Fordon in Dennery. Celebrate 50 years with Midnight Groovers. Also featuring the Secret Solo Band, Prosper, General Bass, Ali Katz, Mishak, and your 2023 Soca Monarch King, Imran Nerdy. Music by DJ Cleus, DJ Camo, and Run It Red. Early bird tickets cost $75. Regular, $100. You pay more at the door. Get your tickets over at Steve's Barbershop in Castries, Anthony's Jewelers, all the sell outlets, the Shelter Bar over in Babano, Falco's Bar in Richmond Dennery, Plants Place in Dennery, and Simai's Distributors in Latuni View Forts. Sponsored by Blue Waters, First National Bank, Little House in the Woods, Courtesy Taxi and Tours, BB Rum, MBC Real FM, Hot 7 TV, Liberty FM and TV, powered by Root Boy and endorsed by the Folk Research Center. Saturday, October 14th, Midnight Groover's 50th anniversary inside Fordor in Dennery. Make this your lime. Get your tickets.
It's coming. The brunch of the century. Welcome to Sunburned. Sunday, November 26th. Sunburned. Sunburned. It's coming.
Calls at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. This is NewsSpin on Power 97.9 FM. We are also on YouTube and the NewsSpin Facebook page. And my guest is the leader of the opposition, also the MP for Miku South and former St. Lucia Prime Minister. We have a call via WhatsApp. Let me see if I could put this call on the air right now. Hello, good afternoon. You are on the air. Hello, good afternoon to you, caller. Let's see if we could put the call on the air. I suspect we have some slight issue. We'll try to address it. Let's see if we could get the caller on the air at, once again, 716-2026. WhatsApp calls and messages, and also 452-2979, 452-2979 with my special guest, the leader of the opposition, former Prime Minister, and also the MP for Miku South. We have that call. Good afternoon. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, Jim.
Yes. Good afternoon to you, caller. Go ahead, please.
My
and good afternoon to the leader of the opposition.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Chastanet, he said that when you get back into office, your first cabinet meeting, you will deal with the Bannon's land fiasco.
Yep.
I would like, as a resident of Viewport South, I would like that your second cabinet meeting, that you deal with the GPH issue as far as relates to the non-development of the port in Beaufort.
Correct.
And the third cabinet meeting, I would like you to deal with the HIA development project. Would you promise me that?
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you. And let me take this opportunity right now to call on all St. Lucians to come out on Saturday, north, south, east, and west. Let us show this government that we are not going to stand for the nonsense that they're doing in this country. We do not like the road which they are leading us down to. We do not like the bullying of some of the ministers. We do not like the dishonesty. We do not like the deceit. We do not like the corruption. And this is the chance for St. Lucians to come out in large numbers. Please, I am pleading with St. Lucians. Everybody, descend on Beaufort this coming Saturday. Let us send a strong signal to this government that we are not happy with what you're doing. And you said that you're not going to call for the government to resign tomorrow. I think you're being diplomatic. But the people who are going to be there on Saturday, this is exactly what we are going to be asking for. We want these fellas out of office yesterday. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for calling. Do you have a call online? No, we don't. All right, let's see if we have another call via WhatsApp. Hello, good afternoon. You are on the air. Hello.
Good day. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, Timothy, and good afternoon to you, Alan.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
I don't normally announce myself, but I will say it this time. My name is Adex Lava. I am the youngest one of now deceased Wilkie Larcher. So I legally changed my name, so it's not any fake name online. That is my legal name when I changed it whilst I was in St. Lucia. So good afternoon to persons who usually inquire who I am. It's not Ernest Hilaire and it's not Christopher Hunt. It's myself, Adex Lava. Okay?
Yes,
so
sir.
A couple of things. Alan, I've voted for the United Workers' Party. It's the only party I voted for. And I just wanted to say that you come from a political, economic, and racial class that is tone deaf to just what you said. You've come on air as the proposed next Prime Minister and said that St. Lucians need to basically sell ourselves. Tone deaf. You've proposed that in selling ourselves, the standard at which we should be gauging whether or not foreigners think we are of value, right, is whether or not we have a stadium and a well-groomed gravesite. That is tone deaf to where we are in St. Lucia and what we want from a political leader. That's one. I think if you get into office, what I'm hearing from you now is that in the absence of things not going the way the St. Lucian Labour Party is governing the affairs of St. Lucia, and I agree, they're not doing what they need to do, is that your proposition is on the first year or days in office is that you're going to investigate and erode contracts and everything else. In a properly run democracy, these things operate even without you coming into office. And what you're proposing is that the only way St. Lucia can function is when 5 years or a new election has taken place. So as opposition leader, what are you going to propose that allows the functions of government to work in the absence of calling an election? Because right now, there's no auditing taking place. The police service cannot investigate issues around fraud and corruption. There's no there's nothing in the absence of a promise of you coming to office or Labour doing the same shows that the functions of government or democracy is working. And the only thing that you're saying is that for it to work, is let you come back into office, and I don't think this is what St. Lucians are asking for and want anymore. us, those who are educated, those who are objective, and those who pay attention to what's been happening with successive governments, are saying that cannot be the solution. And you being tone deaf to that by saying a rally will make St. Lucians take control of the country is showing again that that is not the way democracies work. So a question to you, in opposition, what are you doing to bolster the democracies and the institutions that we have to show how government should function? Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling, sir.
So
yeah, go ahead.
The caller was all over the place because he was very far-reaching and very broad in his support and criticism at the same time. I agree with him about the democracy. I'm not saying that, and I've never said that the United Workers' Party is the only person. We have continuously said that civil society must play its role. The institutions that the Constitution put in, a permanent secretary is protected, cannot be fired, in order to make sure a permanent secretary is protecting the people. They are the chief accounting officers every day to what's taking place in this country. The controller of customs is protected. The DPP is protected. The Auditor General is protected. And there's an expectation of morality and ethics that we have of an Attorney General. These people represent the people. And it's to continue to call those people out. I'm in court. I'm doing judicial reviews. I'm doing everything I possibly can. And even when I'm doing those things, the money for it is coming out of my pocket. It's not to say that I'm even getting resources from the state to go and fight constitutional matters in the state. When I stand up in Parliament and hold to my rights and defend my rights in the court, that's exactly what I'm trying to do, is to strengthen our democracy, not to break it down, and to hold our democracy accountable. Now, I'm disappointed that the caller would want to make mention and trivialize or oversimplify what I'm saying about a souffleur. Those are just examples. At the end of the day, he and I may disagree. There are some people who believe the world owes St. Lucia something. I don't subscribe from that school of thought. I think that we will starve before that is delivered to us. We're not the only oppressed people in the world. But at the end of the day, we have to learn to compete in the world. And there are countries as small as us, and there are countries that are bigger as with more diverse problems that can succeed in doing that. And success is there for everybody to see. Why is it that Aruba is doing well? Aruba is only 110,000 people. Why? Why is their GDP bigger than ours? Why is there less poverty than us? Do they still have social issues? Yes. But we don't get to choose the industries that we want to compete in. Our geography, our size, all those things are influencing what sectors we can be successful in. And I've spoken about it. Is it about increasing the output per GDP? And where I can see that the caller and I would have a difference is that you need to have a sufficiently large economy. And why do I keep saying that? Because it's the size of your economy that is going to provide the resources that are required to the government to help improve education, to help improve healthcare, to help improve infrastructure. Because if you have to continue depending on outside support to make that happen, it is painful.
Well, at that point, we have a call. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. I think, okay, we've lost a line call. Let's try another line. 452-2979. 452-2979. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
A pleasant good afternoon to you, Timothy.
Hi.
And your listeners all over the world. PW is on the line.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Also, a pleasant good afternoon to you, Mr. Chastanet.
Afternoon, sir.
Whilst I agree, PW on the line, Mr. Chastanet. Whilst I agree with the last caller, Timothy, you know, I realize that Mr. Chastanet is doing more than enough. You know, more than enough. He is one of the politicians and political leaders of the opposition that I have seen that have taken, you know, this government up to task to a lot of things. And we, the citizens of this country, we need to come forward and assist him as much as possible. Because if we don't, this democracy we believe in, it will go down the drain. Mr. Chastanet, are you aware of the cul-de-sac bridge built by the Japanese, and the road is not connected to that bridge as yet?
Yeah, we have a bridge. We have a bridge waiting for a road.
Right. But guess what? I can say, and I am in a position to say, that in closed doors, you think the Japanese are happy that this road is not connected to the bridge? The inspection for the bridge is going to be due in a few months, and an inspection takes place when traffic is on a bridge to see whether the bridge can withstand, whether it would sink in certain places, for the volume of traffic going across. So we are in a situation right now where a bridge is going to be tested and inspected, and there is no traffic on that bridge. So in closed doors, the Japanese are not happy. The next thing is I want to talk about is the Mon Lay-by, Timothy. I mean, the guys took about 8 months on that Mon Lay-by, or even more, Timothy. And this is the quality of the Mon Lay-by. They have given us the viewing point, which is the lay-by, Mon Lay-by, is just opposite the Governor's General
official residence.
This is not a right place opposite the Governor General's entrance. The last ship that was in port there, Timothy, taxi drivers were even parked at the entrance of the Governor General's residence. You understand why this? They said it's temporary, but it looks as if this is not going to be a temporary location. This viewing point should have been built like the one when you're going down to Soufre, that viewing point, which has the capacity for people that are disabled to go in it, to have a panoramic view of the island of Martinique and the city of Castries. Timothy, 2 toilets that the guests can barely turn in. The guests can barely maneuver. I mean, the government is preaching that restaurants and catering areas are supposed to have 2 toilets for men, 2 toilets for women. When one of these toilets are out of bound, tell me, can one toilet, there's a pressure on one toilet, will the people there viewing will be able to go into into one toilet, Timothy? There's no place for handicapped people. But as a matter of fact, for the vendors, the 10 to 8 vendors that sell at that viewing point, Timothy, it will be less sales for them because they are in what we call a four. A four, as the Creole people say. And you cannot even stop their late hours. That's a very dangerous area. Nobody cannot see you in that area. When they pass, less sales for the vendors. And Timothy, this is in an area where if there is heavy rain, this area is going to be flooded. I wish to hear the amount of money the government has spent on that Mon Lay-by, whether it's worth it or not. But the person that designed and engineered that Mon Lay-by, tell them they've done a bad job for the vendors and for the cruise ship passengers. Timothy, I thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We'll take 2 more calls, 452-2979, 452-2979, and your WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026, 716-2026. Let me see if I have a WhatsApp message or question for you, Mr. Former Prime Minister. Hi, Tim. Soufre should not have been given priority over VA4. Nonsense. The shopping mall at the old factory and a broad walk would have been adequate. Why leave Soufre out?
Soufre was not left out. You had the DSH project. You had the airport. You had St. Jude's Hospital. You had the cruise ship terminal. You had the redevelopment of the free zone. You had what we were going to do at Sandy Beach. You had what we were going to be doing down on the waterfront of View Fort. All those things were taking place in View Fort. You had a citizens group in View Fort that said that we were turning View Fort into a Miami. So I'm sorry. Where were the persons who want to see the progress in View Fort standing up for View Fort? What message has been sent to United Workers' Party? After opening first meeting that we had of swearing in the members of our parliament, where did it take place?
In the South.
Not just South, in View Fort.
I think you have a call.
Unprecedented.
You have a
right?
call. Hello, good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air. Hello.
Good afternoon, Tim. Good afternoon, Tim.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Leader of the Opposition.
Afternoon, sir.
To the Prime Minister.
Yes, go ahead, caller.
So I was saying where the present government say that it's an observation, that they're the government of the Mali way. And I think people have to listen and understand what words mean when they say they're the government of the Mali way, which means that they're there for the Mali way. Now, I would think that a government would try its best, because the Mali way is not a good thing to be, if I understand it correctly. And I would think that the government would be trying their best to take their people out of this Mali way situation. But the thing about it is, if you're a government of the Mali way and there are no more Mali ways, who is going to elect you? Who are you going to govern? So, with regards to the importance of words and what it means, I think people have opened their eyes and realized that the government is trying its utmost by the way it is maneuvering to actually keep them as Malawi's so that they can continue to support the government. Because everything that they're doing, that is what it speaks to. Increasing the taxes on people and along with the myriad of other failed policies that they're implementing. I mean, something as simple as using the strategy to refer to the hospital as a box. That is so simple-minded that anybody who knows anything could understand that it's a very functional shape, But if you're so lacking in education and understanding that if somebody says, hey, your hospital is a box, it's only a simple-minded person who's going to take offense to that. You understand?
And deliberately being said to be a distraction.
Exactly. It takes away from the actual functionality and how it's actually supposed to work. But it's just going to use that as some kind of derogatory term, and then they're just going to get behind it and be like, yeah, it's a box, nobody don't want to be in a box. When there's a literal functionality to the shape of a box for the hospital. But again, they have the people in a place where they're so uneducated that they cannot understand that and they cannot see that for themselves. And they're always looking to them to give them direction.
All right, caller. Thank you so much. We take a final call via WhatsApp as we say good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air. Hello.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi.
Good afternoon, Tim and Mr. Political Leader.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon, sir. Tim, all I want to say today is that St. Lucians are very much aware. They have been hearing, but somehow I have believed that my people do not understand, or maybe they're just plain scared because they cannot say for lack of information that they're not getting the information, that they're not hearing and seeing what's going on, that they don't know what is happening. They're hearing over and over. And these past few days, it has been open for the past few weeks. The United Workers' Party, especially Mr. Joseph, have been articulating everything and putting it down there. I am quite proud of you, Mr. Political Leader, and your team for the way y'all are coming out. Y'all are not backing down. Y'all are not afraid. It is time that Flobo get up. I know we were criticized for being a sophisticated kind of people and taking, but there comes a time when you have to say enough is enough. This is not about egos. This is not about positions. This is not about party. This is about the very survival of this country. And it's about time that you all have gotten up, get militant, and stand up with your words, not arms, not nothing, but words and action, because Martin Luther King was very powerful without lifting up money to the man. So, sir, thank God for what you're doing. Continue to push it. Our people will learn. If you keep repeating enough, and the bad boys will back off because they cannot always stay and face like all bullies. When you stand up to them, they back off. I'm quite proud of you. Continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. Our final caller. Final comments from you, Mr. Leader of the Opposition.
You know, Tim, I just want to build on some of the questions and some of the points that your callers made. You must have a plan. And the genesis of the plan that United Workers' Party embraces is coming from Sir John, which was I don't know if you remember the quadrant economic plan.
Yeah.
Which was what? You needed to diversify the economic development of the country. That you cannot have economic growth, Tim, and at the same time the people don't see that they're benefiting from those things. So some people may think that a sidewalk or having a toilet in your home is petty. But for some people, that's huge, big. Having a healthcare center that functions and has medication. Having a home where an ambulance can come to. Having a place where my child can go in the afternoon and play. Being able to have my child participate in a program in which that I'm seeing success stories. I'm seeing people starting from infant school and making it to secondary school and all of a sudden becoming a Julian Alfred or becoming somebody else that's successful on a global basis. It is about a government that understands all of those intricacies and does not prioritize one thing over the other because everybody individually has different sets of priorities as to what they want. But how do you now create a system, a program, a policy that allows everybody to equally benefit? That's critical. When we take Castries, we talk about the saturation of the cruise sector. It doesn't generate the revenue that it ought to. So building the Marriott Courtyard, which the Labour Party said was a foolish idea, and now we're embracing it. Wanting to move the container port out of Castries and using that for a convention center and another hotel. And making now Castries the capital for the meetings and incentive business. Why? Because the George Charles Airport now supports it because most of that business is interregional. So you can fly into St. Lucia and in less than 3 minutes you're at your hotel and your conference facility. And then at nighttime, the same economic activity you see in Rodney Bay now comes to Castries. You've lived in Castries. At 5:30 in the afternoon, what's Castries? Dead. So you can have shops and restaurants that are open till later in the night. That's what we want to be able to do, is to create a center of activity, a hub of activity. And putting the cruise ship port in Vieux Fort now allows us to earn more money off the cruise industry because the people are flying into St. Lucia, so we get the airport tax, and they also stay at hotels. And now the taxi drivers that are only depending on bringing people up north, one-way trip, now have the ability of creating tours. And there's much more land in the south and between Vieux Fort, the Micous, the Dennery, and all the way up to Soufriere to create more attractions and to differentiate St. Lucia and allow small business people to prosper. So you have to have a plan for this country. When people want to say, who is Alan Chastanet? Alan Chastanet is an individual that has the opportunity to live anywhere I want in the world and make a living. I don't need St. Lucia to make my living. But I've chosen to make St. Lucia my home. And I've backed it up by investing my family's own money and my own money. So we're not only depending on taxpayers to pay me a salary. My father paid over 2,000 people a salary every month, Tim. Coco Palm pays over 160 people a month in salaries. Every time I travel, I think of St. Lucia. I think of what can I learn to apply to St. Lucia. And what I see is everywhere that has excellence, that strives to be the best, strives to be most creative, right? That entertains and provides service to people, those places succeed. So when persons want to come and ask me, why am I involved in tourism and why am I pushing tourism? Guess what? Because for now, it's the best thing that we have. If you have something better that can employ more people, generate more foreign exchange, create more opportunity for us internationally, let's go and do that. But I keep saying to people, until you know what that is, let us milk everything we can out of tourism and let's be the best at it. And being the best at it is not about just having a beautiful hotel. And then when you leave the hotel, you see people living in a ghetto. We need to raise the standards all the way through St. Lucia, that the whole of St. Lucia becomes the hotel. And that's why village tourism was so important. Creating opportunity. And it's village tourism at its essence that is going to differentiate St. Lucia internationally. Because people are more likely to come to Gros Islet Friday than they are going to go to a beautiful hotel. That's what makes St. Lucia. And it's to enhance the St. Lucian experience. Enhance the St. Lucian experience and culture. Take Carnival. When I came in, you remember in 2006, I was crucified for wanting to put $1 million. Sir John was upset with me. But when he saw the success of it, he called me and said, thank you. I believed in it. I believe that Carnival should have a separate week for Dennery segment. Why? That is ours. Let's do everything to make it the best in the world and that everybody wants to beat. How do you do that? Bring international artists to play with the Dennery segment guys. Make it popular. Expose it to the rest of the world. So the march on Saturday is because this government is failing in delivering to the people of St. Lucia, and they're mamagaying the people of St. Lucia. And they're continuously lying to the people of St. Lucia. And I'm saying, let us let this government know that we're not happy with the direction they're going in. Give them an opportunity. They can't say they didn't know. That's why everybody has to come out, regardless of whether you're red, yellow, blue. I couldn't care less what color you are. This is our country, and if we don't take responsibility for our country, nobody else will. If you don't make it a priority, nobody else will. I'm not pleading with people. I'm just saying to you what the truth is. And I knew that from the beginning. How did I know that from the beginning? I said, I'm not going to have democracy or accountability in Parliament. 15-2. I said, we're going to have what? The People's Parliament. And tomorrow, Saturday, very important session of the People's Parliament. Raise your hand. Allow your voice to be heard. Take an active role. It doesn't matter whether you agree with all my plans. That's not what the important part is. What we can all agree on now is the country is heading in a wrong direction. And we need to put it right. And if we don't express ourselves, if we don't actively participate, those people who don't want to vote, who you think is losing? You think you're losing? The country is losing by you not participating. And sometimes in life we have to make the choice between the lesser of the two evils. That's the reality. But you must participate. You cannot abdicate your role as a citizen of St. Lucia. You cannot say that democracy is important. You cannot say the Constitution is important. You cannot say the Bill of Rights are important if you're not willing to stand up and to be counted. And that's what we need to do on Saturday. And I'm appealing to all St. Lucians. 3 or 4 hours of your time. Come out and vote and let the government know we're not happy with the direction they're going in. All of the evidence is there. You don't have to say whether you like my plans or not. That's not what's on debate right now. When we have an elections, you'll have a choice to make a decision between the two political parties. But I am concerned that we're heading in a direction that very soon it will be irreversible, Tim. Irreversible. And that's why we must all show up on Saturday.
Leader of the Parliamentary Opposition and MP for Micoud South, Mr. Alan Chastanet, thank you so much for being my guest during this segment of the broadcast. NewsSpin on Power 97.9 FM, also on the NewsSpin Facebook page and YouTube. We'll be back, God willing, tomorrow afternoon, 12:30, with another edition of the most monitored talk show in the world. That's NewsSpin. Goodbye.